Hi, I'm Darryn Farrugia and welcome. In 1989, I had the pleasure of having some lessons with the great Joe Morello, and like many of Joe's students, we were all seeking information on how to improve our technique. During one of those lessons, Joe explained a practice method that I have adopted and pretty much use for everything. I call it the 5-3-1 method, and I will explain why. Before I explain this practice method, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I think we should be striving for when we're practicing. A key component of technique is control. And control is made up of two parts: accuracy and being able to play in a relaxed way. Whenever I'm practicing an exercise, I ask myself, am I relaxed and am I playing accurately? So these are the things that you should strive for. In addition to control, we need to be able to play for longer periods of time. And I think endurance style practice is really the key to making your technique good and usable. So this practice method that I'm going to demonstrate today takes care of the endurance side of practice. While you're doing this, you need to be focusing on the control. So here's how it works. The first thing we need to do is find a tempo that we can play at comfortably with control for 5 minutes without stopping. You'll need a metronome and some kind of stopwatch. There are metronome apps on the market now that allow you to set a tempo and a duration. They have a count up or a countdown timer. So I'm going to set my metronome to 120 beats per minute, and I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. Here we go. One, two, three, four. So while I was doing that, I was really focusing on control, making sure I was relaxed. If you feel tension at any point during that 5 minutes, stop, perhaps set the metronome a little slower, and start again. As Joe Morello says in his book, Master Studies, it's really important not to practice tension into your technique. So always stop at the first signs of tension. The 5-minute part of this practice method does all the heavy lifting. This is actually probably going to be the harder part. The duration, in some ways, is actually a little tougher than the speed. But what we're going to do next is take the metronome up by 5 beats per minute, in this case to 125 beats per minute, and we're going to play for 3 minutes. Here we go. One, two, three, four. The next step is to increase the tempo again by 5 beats per minute. So now we're at 130 beats per minute, and we're going to play for 1 minute. One, two, three, four. So that's 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 1 minute at a tempo range of 10 BPM. So we've started at 120 and we've finished at 130. Now, as this becomes easier for you, start at a faster tempo. You may want to start at 125 for 5 minutes, 130 for 3 minutes, and 135 for a minute, or you may find that that increase may be a little too much. You may want to start at 122, 127, and 132. There are a couple of advantages of this way of practicing, but the one I like the most is that it dictates to me exactly how long I'm going to play an exercise for. So if you allow yourself between 15 and 30 seconds between each tempo, then you can block out 10 minutes of practice time by using this method. This helps answer a question, and that is, how long should you practice something for? And if you're pretty strict with your practice routine, you can use this method for just about anything that you practice. That means that in 1 hour, you should be able to practice 6 different sets of exercises using this method. One thing that I think is really important to point out here is that this type of practice method is not restricted to just hand technique. You could use this method for practicing bass drum technique. You could use this method for practicing licks or patterns around the drum set. Anything that's a little bit more on the technical side, this is a really great way to practice. I'm going to use this practice method right now to demonstrate practicing the lick that I played on the previous video. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start that lick at 120, and then I'll go through the process of increasing my tempo by 5 BPM. Here's 120. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One, two, 1, 2, 3. One, two, 1, 2, 3. So anyway, there you have it. That's the 5-3-1 practice method. What I'm going to suggest you do is try this out for a week. Pick a pattern, a technique exercise, a bass drum exercise, whatever you want, and do this every day. I want to see how you feel at the end of a week's worth of practice. Has it made a difference to the way it feels to play? Does this practice method work for you? Until next time, see you later.